2 Samuel 1. David finds out about Saul's death. Saul was dead. Meanwhile, David had defeated the Amalekites and returned to Ziklag. 3 days later, a soldier came from Saul's army. His clothes were torn, and dirt was on his head. He went to David and knelt down in front of him. David asked, "Where did you come from?" The man answered, "From Israel's army. I barely escaped with my life." "Who won the battle?" David asked. The man said, "Our army turned and ran, but many were wounded and died. Even King Saul and his son Jonathan are dead." David asked, "How do you know Saul and Jonathan are dead?" The young man replied, "I was on Mount Gilboa and saw King Saul leaning on his spear. The enemies were chariot and cavalry were closing in on him. When he turned around and saw me, he called me over. I went and asked what he wanted. Saul asked me, 'Who are you?' 'An Amalekite,' I answered. Then he said, 'Kill me, I'm dying and I'm in terrible pain.' So I killed him. I knew he was too badly wounded to live much longer. Then I took his crowns and his armband, and I brought them to you. My Majesty, here they are." At once David and his soldiers tore their clothes and swore. They cried all day long and would not eat anything. Everyone was sad because Saul and his son Jonathan and many of the Lord's people had been killed in the battle. David asked the young man, "Where is your home?" The man replied, "My father is an Amalekite, but we live in Israel." David said to him, "Why weren't you afraid to kill the Lord's chosen king? And you even told what you did. It's your own fault that you're going to die." Then David told one of his soldiers, "Come here and kill this man." David sings in memory of Saul. David sang a song in memory of Saul and Jonathan, and he ordered his men to teach the song to everyone in Judah. He called it the Song of Baal, and it can be found in the book of Jashar. This is the song. "Israel, your famous hero lie dead on the hills, and your mighty warriors has fallen. Don't tarry in God or spread the news on the street of Ashkelon. The godless Palestine women will be happy and jump for joy. Don't let dew fall or rain fall on the hills of Gilboa. Don't let each field grow offerings for God." There the warriors' shield were smeared with mud, and Saul's own shield was left unpolished. The arrows of Jonathan struck, and warriors died. The sword of Saul cut the enemy apart. It was easy to love Saul and Jonathan, together in love, together in death. They were faster than eagles and stronger than lions. Women of Israel cried for Saul. He brought you fine red cloth and jewelry made of gold. Our warriors have fallen in the heat of battle, and Jonathan lies dead on his hills of Gilboa. Jonathan, I miss you most. I love you like a brother. You're truly loyal to me, more faithful than a wife to her husband. Our warriors has fallen, and their weapons are destroyed. 2. David becomes king of Judah. Later, David asked the Lord, "Should I go back to one of the towns of Judah?" The Lord said, "Yes." David asked, "Which town should I go to?" "Go to Hebron," the Lord replied. David went to Hebron with his 2 wives, Ahinoam and Abigail. Ahinoam was from Jezreel, and Abigail was the widow of Nabal from Carmel. David also told his men and their families to come and live in the village near Hebron. The people of Judah met with David at Hebron and poured olive oil on his head to show that he was their new king. Then they told David, "The people from Jabesh in Gilead buried Saul." David sent messengers to tell them, "The Lord bless you. You were king enough to bury Saul, your ruler, and I pray that the Lord will be kind and faithful to you. I will be your friend because of what you have done. Saul is dead, but the tribe of Judah has made me their king. So be strong and have courage." Ishbosheth becomes king of Israel. Abner, the son of Ner, had been the general of Saul's army. He took Saul's son Ishbosheth across the Jordan River to Mahanaim and made him king of Israel, including the area of Gilead, Asher, Jezreel, Ephraim, and Benjamin. Ishbosheth was 40 years old at the time, and he ruled for 2 years, but the tribe of Judah made David their king, and he ruled for Hebron for 7.5 years. The war between David and Ishbosheth. One day, Abner and the soldiers of Ishbosheth left Mahanaim and went to Gibeon. Meanwhile, Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was leading David's soldiers. The 2 groups met at the pool of Gibeon. Abner and his men sat down on the side of the pool, while Joab and his men sat on the other side. Abner yelled to Joab, "Let's get some of our best soldiers to stand up and fight each other." Joab agreed, and 12 of Ishbosheth's men from the tribe of Benjamin got up to the fight. 12 of David's men. They grabbed each other by the hair and stabbed each other in the side with their daggers. They all died right there. That's why the place in Gibeon is called Field of Daggers. Then everyone started fighting. Both sides fight very hard, but David's soldier defeated Abner and the soldier of Israel. Zeruiah's 3 sons were there: Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. Asahel could run fast as a deer in an open field, and he ran straight after Abner without looking to the right or to the left. When Abner turned and saw him, he said, "Is that you, Abner?" Abner answered, "Yes, it is." Abner said, "There are soldiers all around. Stop chasing me and fight one of them, kill him, and take his clothes and weapon for yourself. But Asahel refused to stop. Abner said, if you don't turn back, I will have to kill you. Then I could never face your brother Joab again. But Asahel would not turn back, so Abner struck him in the stomach with the back end of his spear. The spear went all the way through and came out of his back. Asahel fell down and died. Everyone who saw Asahel lying dead just stopped and stood still. But Joab and Abishai went after Abner. Finally, about sunset, they came to the hill of Amaha, not far from Giah, on the road of Gibeon Desert. Abner brought the men of Benjamin together in one group on top of a hill, and they got ready to fight. Abner shouted to Joab, aren't we ever going to stop killing each other? Don't you know that the longer we keep on doing this, the worse it's going to be when it's all over? When are you going to order your men to stop chasing their own relatives? Joab shouted back, I swear by the living God, if we hadn't spoken, my men would have chased their relatives all night. Joab took his trumpet and blew the signal for his soldiers to stop chasing the soldiers of Israel. At once, the fighting stopped. Abner and his troops marched through the Jordan River Valley all the night. Then they crossed the river and marched all morning until they arrived back at Mahanaim. As soon as Joab stopped chasing Abner, he got David's troops together and counted them. There were 19 missing beside Asahel, but David's soldiers had killed 360 of Abner's men from the tribe of Benjamin. Joab and his troops carried Asahel's body to Bethlehem and buried him in the family burial place. Then they marched all night and reached Hebron before sunrise. This battle was the beginning of the long war between the followers of Saul and the followers of David. Saul's power grew weaker, but David's grew stronger. David's sons born in Hebron. Several of David's sons were born while he was living in Hebron. His oldest son was Amnon, whose mother was Ahinoam from Jezreel. David's second son was Chileab, whose mother was Abigail, who had been married to Nabal from Carmel. Absalom was the third. His mother was Maacah, the daughter of King Talmai of Geshur. The fourth was Adoniah, whose mother was Haggith. The fifth was Shephatiah, whose mother was Abital. The sixth was Ithream, whose mother was Eglah, another one of David's wives. Abner decided to help David as the war went on between the families of David and Saul. Abner was gaining more power than ever in Saul's family. He had even slept with the wife of Saul by the name of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. But Saul's son Ishbosheth told Abner, "You shouldn't have slept with one of my father's wives." Abner was very angry because of what Ishbosheth had said, and he told Ishbosheth, "Am I some kind of worthless dog from Judah? I've always been loyal to your father's family and to his relatives and friends. I haven't turned you over to David, and yet you talk to me as if I've committed a crime with his woman. I ask God to punish me if I don't help David get what the Lord promised him." God said that he wouldn't let anyone in Saul's family ever be king again, and that David would be king instead. He also said that David would rule both Israel and Judah all the way from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south. Ishbosheth was so prayed to Abner that he could not even answer. Abner sent some of his men to David with this message: "You should be the ruler of the whole nation. If you make an agreement with me, I will persuade everyone in Israel to make you their king." David sent his message back, "Good, I'll make an agreement with you, but before I will even talk with you about it, you must get Saul's daughter Michal back for me." David sent a few of his officials to Ishbosheth to give him this message: "Give me back my wife Michal. I killed one of the Philistines so I could marry her." Ishbosheth sent some of his men to take Michal away from her new husband, Paltiel, the son of Laish. Paltiel followed Michal and the men all the way to Bahurim, crying as he walked. But he went back home after Abner ordered him to leave. Abner talked with the leaders of the tribes of Israel and told them, "You wanted to make David your king for a long time now, so do it." After all, God said he would use his servant David to rescue his people Israel from their enemies, especially from the Palestinians. Finally, Abner talked with the tribe of Benjamin. Then he left for Hebron to tell David everything that the tribe of Benjamin and the rest of the people of Israel wanted to do. Abner took 20 soldiers with him, and when they got to Hebron, David gave a big feast for them. After the feast, Abner said, "Your Majesty, let me leave now and bring Israel here to make an agreement with you. You will be king of the whole nation, just as you've been wanting." David told Abner he could leave, and he left without causing any trouble. Joab kills Abner. Soon after Abner had left Hebron, Joab and some of David's soldiers came back, bringing a lot of things they had taken from an enemy village. Right after they arrived, someone told Joab Abner visited the king, and the king let him go. Abner even left without causing any trouble. Joab went to David and said, "What has you done? Abner came to you and you let him go. Now he is long gone. You know Abner. He came to trick you. He wants to find out how strong your army is and to know everything you've done." Joab left David. Then he sent some messengers to catch up with Abner. They brought him back from the well at Sirah, but David did not know anything about it. When Abner returned to Hebron, Joab pretended they wanted to talk privately with him. So he took Abner into one of the small rooms that were part of the town gate and stabbed him in the stomach. Joab killed him because Abner had killed Joab's brother Asahel. Abner's funeral. David heard how Joab had killed Abner, and he said, "I swear to the Lord that I am completely innocent of Abner's death." Joab and his family are the guilty ones. I pray that Joab's family will always be sick with sores and other skin diseases. May they all be cowards, and may they die in war or starve to death. Joab and his brother Abishai killed Abner because he had killed their brother Asahel in the battle in Gibeon. David told Joab and everyone with him, "Show your sorrow by tearing your clothes and wearing sackcloth. Walk in front of Abner's body and cry." David walked behind the stretcher on which Abner's body was being carried. Abner was buried in Hebron, while David and everyone else stood at the tomb and cried loudly. Then the king sang a funeral song about Abner. "Abner, why should you have died like an outlaw? No one tied your hands or chained your feet, yet you died as a victim of murderers." Everyone started crying again. Then they brought some food to David and told him he would feel better if he had something to eat. It was still daytime. David said, "I swear to God that I won't take a bite of bread or anything else until sunset." Everyone noticed what David did, and they liked it, just as they always like what he did. Now the people of Judah and Israel were certain that David had nothing to do with killing Abner. David said to his officers, "Don't be realized that today one of Israel's great leaders had died. I am the chosen king, but Joab and Abishai has more power than I do. So God will have to pay them back for the evil thing they did." Ishbosheth is killed. Ishbosheth felt like giving up after he heard that Abner had died in Hebron. Everyone in Israel was terrified. Ishbosheth had put the two brothers Bana and Rechab in charge of the soldiers who raided enemy village. Rimmon was their father, and they were from the town of Viros, which belonged to the tribe of Benjamin. The people who used to live in Viros had run away to Gittaim, and they still lived there. Saul's son Jonathan had a son named Mephibosheth, who had not been able to walk since he was 5 years old. It happened when someone who Zuriel told his nurse that Saul and Jonathan had died. She hurried off with the boy in her arms, but he fell and injured his legs. One day about noon, Rechab and Bana went to Ishbosheth's house. It was a hot day, and she was resting in his bedroom. The two brothers went into the house, pretending to get some flour. But once they were inside, they stabbed Ishbosheth in the stomach and killed him. Then they cut off his head and took it with them. Rechab and Bana walked through the Jordan River Valley all night long. Finally, they turned west and went to Hebron. They went in to see David and told him, "Your Majesty, here is the death of Ishbosheth, the son of your enemy Saul, who tried to kill you. The Lord has let you get even with Saul and his family." David answered, "I swear that only the Lord rescue me when I am in trouble." When a man came to Ziklag and told me that Saul was dead, he thought he deserved a reward for bringing good news. But I grabbed him and killed him. You evil men have done something much worse than he did. You've killed an innocent man in his own house and on his own bed. I'll make you pay for that. I'll wipe you from the face of the earth. Then David said to his troops, "Kill these two brothers, cut off their hands and feet, and hanging their bodies by the pool in Hebron, but bury Ishbosheth's head in Aviner's tomb near Hebron." And they did.